What if I told you that there was a #1 overall pick who never played a single game in MLB, not even one inning? Well, that's exactly what happened to Brady Aiken, a high school pitcher who was 6'4" and throwing upper 90s at just 17 years old. Aiken was a generational talent with the potential to be a superstar for the Astros. However, despite insanely high expectations for his future, his career would eventually come to an end before it even started. So what happened to Brady Aiken? How good was he actually, and where is he now? To find out, let's go back to where it all started in the first place. Aiken was raised in San Diego, California, where he would attend Cathedral Catholic High School. It was there that he would make varsity as a sophomore and quickly prove to be a dominant force on the mound. You see, Aiken had been taking pitching lessons ever since he was 9 years old, and despite being just 16, his fastball was already in the low 90s. So, unsurprisingly, he immediately put up incredible numbers, posting an ERA of 1.32 in 11 appearances. However, he would only get better as time went on. As a junior, he lowered his ERA to just 0.92, which as a result put him on the map as one of the best high school pitchers in the nation. In fact, his absurd level of performance earned him a spot on Team USA after the season was over. And facing the best players in the world under 18, he would continue his dominance, pitching 7 innings in the World Cup to lead the team to a championship. Aiken was undoubtedly one of the best prospects in the nation, drawing scouts from all over the country to watch his starts. Although, heading into his final year of high school, Brady came up with a new objective, saying this: "I want to be the best player in the draft. I want to be the #1 guy." This was obviously a lofty goal, but over the course of the next year, he would dedicate his entire life to becoming the best player possible. Over the offseason, he began training harder than ever, aiming to increase his velocity and dial in his command, which was made easier by the fact that he now stood at 6'4" and weighed around 200 pounds. So even though he was still just 17 years old, Aiken would take the mound in 2014 throwing up to 97 miles an hour, which when combined with his other pitches, a curveball and a changeup, made him almost unhittable. As a result, he began to draw comparisons to some of the greatest high school pitchers of all time like Clayton Kershaw, the 7th overall pick in 2006. In fact, the general manager for the Astros even called him the most advanced high school pitcher I've ever seen in my entire career. His hard work had paid off, and later that year, he was selected #1 overall by the Astros in the 2014 MLB draft. However, despite his incredible talent, many were skeptical of this pick considering he was still a high schooler. You see, high school players are typically considered a bigger risk due to their lack of experience and greater chance of injury. Although, in this case, it seemed like Aiken was the exception. He had received specialized coaching since he was 9, and his pitch count had been limited his entire life to reduce the risk of injury. Not to mention, he had been scouted since he was 15 years old, meaning that teams had a pretty good idea of his skills. So, for these reasons and more, Brady was viewed as a safer pick than your typical high school pitcher. And as a result, he was promised a $6.5 million signing bonus. His entire life had led to this moment, and with more optimism than ever, Aiken said this: "This is something that I've wanted ever since I was a young kid. I'm at a loss for words. This is my dream, and it's finally starting to come true." However, nobody could have predicted what would happen next. But first, I want to give a quick thanks to the sponsor of today's video, Exter. Exter makes bags, accessories, and more, but they're best known for their trackable smart wallets. Despite being half the size of a typical wallet, they still have enough room for 12 cards along with cash. Not to mention, they're built with sustainable materials, have built-in RFID blocking, and of course, are easily trackable from your phone. But as I mentioned, Exter also makes some great accessories and bags. For example, their travel pack vacuum kit is super helpful for getting the most space possible out of your backpack or suitcase. With it, you can basically triple the size of your travel bag by compressing 15 or more pieces of clothing. And in case you're wondering, it does come with its own rechargeable air pump, but you can also use your own vacuum if you'd like. Moving on, the final accessory I want to show you is the Finder card, a tracker the size of a credit card that works works seamlessly with Apple's Find My app. Now, Exter is currently running a fall sale with up to 35% off, and by using my code AVERAGEBASEBALL and going to the link in the description, you can get an additional 10% off. Before he could officially sign with the team, Aiken underwent a physical which yielded concerning results. According to the team, his UCL was abnormally small, and although there was no history to suggest that this would be an issue, Houston immediately reduced their offer by $1.5 million. Now, as you can imagine, Aiken and his team did not agree with this decision, considering he was completely healthy at the time. And after much deliberation, he eventually decided to turn down their new offer, becoming the first #1 overall pick to not sign with the team since 1983. But Aiken wasn't the only player who was left without a team as a result of this situation. Due to him not signing, the Astros lost out on millions of dollars of bonus money, which unfortunately meant that they could no longer afford to sign their 5th-round pick, Jacob Nix, without losing their top 2 draft picks in 2015. Overall, this situation was extremely disappointing for everyone involved, and the MLB Players Association summed it up by saying this: "Today, 2 young men should be one step closer to realizing their dreams of becoming Major League ball players. Because of the actions of the Houston Astros, they are not." But just when things couldn't get any worse, Brady would receive the worst news of his entire life. In February of 2015, he enrolled at IMG Academy, a private training institute in Florida. It was there that he hoped to prove everyone wrong as he prepared to re-enter the draft. However, in his very first start, he was almost immediately removed from the game due to discomfort in his elbow. This would leave him with no choice but to get it checked out, and the results were devastating. Aiken had torn his UCL, forcing him to undergo Tommy John surgery, a procedure that would leave him on the sidelines for over a year. So, just like that, his biggest fear had come true, and it looked like the Astros may have been right all along. Nonetheless, Brady remained optimistic, saying this: "I already have a plan in place to rehab my arm, and I plan to come back better than ever. I also know God has a plan for me. I can't wait to get back on the mound." After all, many prospects had undergone the same surgery in the past and still had a successful career. So, determined to make it to MLB, Aiken would continue to push forward. In June of that same year, he re-entered the draft and was selected 17th overall by Cleveland. And while his signing bonus was $4 million less than his original offer the year prior, he didn't really care. All he wanted was another chance. Sure enough, the following year, he would finally get the opportunity to make his professional debut. Although, after his first few starts, it was clear that something was off. He made his debut in the Summer League in June of 2016, and despite going 2 scoreless innings in his very first start, things quickly went downhill. For one, his velocity had taken a major hit compared to previous years, as he was barely reaching 90 miles an hour. Not to mention, his command was worse than ever, which was likely due to a lack of feel following his surgery. So, unsurprisingly, Aiken struggled massively in his first 8 starts, giving up 19 earned runs, resulting in an abysmal ERA of 7.13, which, as you can imagine, led to concerns about his future in baseball. After all, even by the end of the year, he was still barely able to exceed 90 miles an hour with his fastball. So, heading into the offseason, he once again made a point to rest his arm and rebuild strength in hopes of finally regaining his control and velocity. But unfortunately, he would struggle just as much in 2017, as throughout the season, he would go 5-13 with a 4.77 ERA. And despite being just 21 years old, Aiken's career was on the verge of being over before it even started. In 2018, he took the year off from baseball entirely, using the extra time to train, recover, and reassess his future. But once again, it made no difference, as in 2019, he would only make 2 appearances the entire year, recording a 40.5 ERA in 0.2 innings. So, after the next season was cancelled due to the pandemic, it was becoming clear that Aiken had run out of chances to prove himself. He would spend the entirety of 2021 on the injured list after being diagnosed with thoracic outlet syndrome, the same injury that ended the career of Matt Harvey. Ultimately, Aiken was released by the team in October of that same year, and just like that, his career was over before it even started. Brady Aiken was one of the most talented high school pitchers of all time. And as one sports writer put it, there's another universe somewhere where Aiken has 2 Cy Youngs, and we're debating his Hall of Fame candidacy.